Conspiracy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Sarcastic Barman and welcome to my channel. We've got a fun one for you today. It's episode number 2 of Stupid Conspiracies. And do you all know how the pyramids were built? I bet you don't. Go on, shout out your answers. I can hear you. The internet's a great thing. This is obviously live. It's definitely not recorded.
Lost
God
technology.
did it.
No.
Slave labour.
No.
Aliens.
Transdimensional
The
beings.
Jews.
No. Just no. And what was that one?
Skilled and paid labourers over 20 years.
No, Kerry, you're just wrong. Just wrong. Skilled labourers. Psh, stupid idea. It was obviously built by dinosaurs. What, you want some proof? Yes, ancient scrolls. I have ancient scrolls. They're obviously proof. What? You don't believe that ancient scrolls prove dinosaurs in bloody Egypt? Good patriotic Egyptian dinosaurs? Well, we'll watch this video then, and that will show you more.
In 2013, archaeologists discovered a hidden collection of papyri, documents written in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs dating back 4,600 years. They are the oldest ever found, and their authenticity is not in doubt. Translators were astonished to discover the scrolls were written by men who participated in building the Great Pyramid. Most remarkably, however, Professor Nabir al-Samud says these documents reveal just how the pyramids were constructed. He says the pyramids of Giza were built by dinosaurs.
See, I told you I had ancient scrolls that prove that the pyramids were built by dinosaurs. What, Professor Nabir al-Samud's not real and he's made up simply for this? That would be stupid. I mean, did you see the sources on there? There was the Independent, CBS, the Christian Courier. Okay, maybe you might be right. We'll do some research on that. But I'm sure that Professor Nabir al-Samud hasn't been made up by some thingy and they've just used a picture of some other guy. Because what kind of news agent would do that? That'd just be fake news. Obviously the dinosaurs built it. Obviously.
Several days later.
Well, it turns out there is no Dr. Nabir al-Samud. He was made up for this article. Oh dear. I love the fact that none of these bits check their sources. Now, the video does go on. It goes on more about these fake dinosaurs building the fake pyramids. Oh wait, the pyramids aren't fake, it's just the dinosaurs. But it does then at the end of it clarify all of this. It's a very good little video to watch that does do the debunking at the end. But it does get to lead us into other crazy pyramids conspiracies, like this one.
People and dinosaurs lived together. I don't know if you've seen much of this, but I want to show it to you. I want to give thanks to these guys. They're members of the church who wrote this book called Dinosaur Delusion, and also to a website that I used called genesispark.com. I used several other sources, but these two I did go back to heavily sort of to get an alignment of what I wanted to talk about this morning.
So this is Choctaw Church of Christ. If I'm saying that wrong, I do apologise. It's just, yeah, whatever. Anyway, this is his almost 40-minute long video on, dinosaurs walking with man and why we were all alive at the same time. Yeah, okay. Let's see if he's got one bit of evidence, just one, over the entire bit of video that's not absolute, complete and utter rubbish. And I think we know what the answer's going to be. Let's have a look at a few key bits.
Legends abounding in the histories of many peoples are accounts of great lizard-like beasts with which men have had to contend. Events involving these creatures have been recorded by explorers, historians, scholars, kings, and saints. We know such creatures existed. How do we know they existed? Well, we find their bones all over the planet. We know they were huge. Man, it must have been something to run into one of these things. But you couldn't have done that because they haven't been around for millions of years. Well, maybe not.
No, they hadn't been around for millions of years. Now, if you're going to use legends and myths and all that crap, then you have to start thinking about what about the legends of Zeus and myths of Zeus and centaurs, minotaurs, pixies, fairies, unicorns, anything like that. Would a better belief just be they found some big walk-off bones and said, this could be something, let's pretend it's a giant dragony monster type thing? Yeah, that would make more sense.
History says that they were contemporary with humans. Dragons. The word dinosaur was not invented until 1891, and so until dinosaur, that word was invented, people called them dragons. And you see writings about dragons throughout the recorded history of mankind and in nearly every culture. It's just prolific how many dragons there are mentioned.
Yet there are more dragon legends than you can shake a fucking stick at, let's be fair. I'm Welsh. The myth behind the mountains in Wales is there were two dragons fighting underground. So, yeah, I'm no stranger to myths of dragons. But strangely enough, none of these dragons look the same. None of them have the same sort of attributes. The ones in Chinese mythology and legend are good luck charms. Over in Europe, they're ones that bring harbingers of doom and guard giant vaults of fricking gold. So, yeah, we're not going to let that one slide. I'm still sticking with the giant bones of theories. Now, let's go through this video and see if you've got something interesting.
Except for perhaps some Indians in Canada and the northern U.S. The Unktehi, a creature well known to the Ojibwa tribesmen of Ontario, Canada, as well as the Sioux of the northwestern plains, is pictured right here. Now, a lot of young people, kids who like dinosaurs, could probably look at that and say, that looks like an ankylosaurus.
You're right, there is some resemblance there to a dinosaur. And this, and that, and this. Do I get the point, or do I need to do another 20 or 30 examples of reptiles for North America? Because, let's be fair, there's quite a fucking few. Now, after finding giant bones in a cave maybe somewhere, and then thinking, oh shit, what was this? And probably finding reptiles nearby going, oh my god, yeah, it could be a secret relatively ancestor, the mother of all these reptiles or something fucking stupid. So, yeah, we'll move on from this one, shall we?
Here's just one Ica ceremonial burial stone from the Nazca culture in Peru from 100 BC to about 800 AD. What do you see on here?
Wow, really? Jumping straight into the stones. This just shows you've done absolutely, positively no research into this for anything that didn't support your claim. Because every single mainstream article about these stones is about the guy who found them and then admitted to faking them. I mean, seriously, they are fakes. They are reported fakes. They are known to be fakes. This isn't like, oh, they might be a fake. No, the guy who made the ones with dinosaurs and things on has said, I made them. It was easier than farming the land to make fake stones. Oh, you're a moron. Absolute well and truly. You better have something better in this video because, geez, it's not going to go on long.
Why is that? We like dinosaurs. They're interesting to us. You ever heard of the Yakambaro figurines? Now, I'll admit there's controversy about this. And, hey, do you believe the Bible's from God? Duh. Is there any controversy about that? Are there any detractors? Are there any people saying, oh, that Bible's not from God? Well, sure. Anytime you come up with something that you're going to say refutes the assumed politic of millions and billions of years, somebody's going to say, they're going to figure out a way to say that it's bogus. So there is some controversy about these, but the evidence I've looked at say, yeah, these things are legitimate. These things were discovered in 1945 by Waldemar Jules Rudd in Acambaro, Mexico. Interestingly enough, what do you see here? Aren't those the dermal spines? Remember that thing we looked at just a minute ago that said those dermal spines are pretty new discoveries by modern scientists, and yet whoever made these before 1945 knew that those critters, some of them anyway, had dermal spines.
Now, we had to let that play for a bit longer to get the full level of stupidity in this. Yes, there's some controversy behind them. No, there's a shed load of controversy behind them. Needless to say that most of these figurines looked almost new in 1945, bared none of the resemblance of sitting in the dirt for almost 2,000 years, and they had to dig through other pottery bits to get to them, which is like, oh yeah, that makes them more interesting. The pottery on top already was in a worse state than the figurines below, which look almost brand goddamn new. They've done not radioactive tests, what am I thinking? Oh, the words got out of my head. Radioactive dating, basically, on them, with inconclusive results, meaning they're nowhere near as old as they are, or, I will be fair, they are much, much older. So, yeah. And no, you can't use the Bible to prove your point. There is no historical evidence behind the Bible either. It's just stupid logic at this point. Absolutely stupid goddamn logic. Oh, we've had enough with you. Let's look at some other nutters. We'll go back to pyramid nutters. They're more fun.
Were the pyramids built before the flood?
Oh, God, we're straight into it, aren't we? What flood? Are you going to say the biblical flood? Because there's no real historical evidence for that, then, is there, apart from the Bible? Well, not in the way you do it. Yes, there was floods over the earth at some point or other. Not all over the earth. We did have an ice age. We did have a melted ice age. We have had floods inland. We have lost lots of land to the water. But no, there is no evidence for a worldwide catastrophic flood that killed almost everybody and basically every single animal on Earth apart from 2 of each. So, yeah, you're going in the crazy folder as well, but let's have a little look and see how deep in the crazy folder you need burying.
According to creation scientists, the Great Flood in Noah's day occurred about 2350 BC.
Wow, creation scientists. You're well down this rabbit hole, aren't you? Jeez. So, that's how long ago the flood occurred. Do we have any evidence for that? No, we don't. Let's see what else you've got.
And then the Tower of Babel event would have occurred sometime after that, and then the Great Pyramids of Giza would have been built sometime after that. But according to Egyptologists, the Great Pyramids of Giza were built about 2550 BC, about 200 years before the flood. But wait a minute now, how could the Egyptians have built the pyramids a whole 200 years before the flood when the nation of Egypt didn't even exist until after the Tower of Babel?
I don't know. How could the nation of Egypt exist 200 years before the flood and the things in the Babel? It's almost as if there was either no flood or the Bible's wrong. Oh wait, both those things are together. There was no flood and the Bible's wrong. So yeah, you've just got nothing, have you, on this? I'm sure you've got something better. Let's keep going.
However, the pyramids are built on top of sedimentary layers which contain fossils. Creation scientists say that these layers were laid down during the flood, which is evidence that the pyramids would have been built after the flood, not before it.
So hang on. The layers underneath the pyramid prove there must be a flood because there's layers because the creation scientists say it was all put down by the flood. Nothing to do with the fact the world is several billion years old and life's been going about for a shitload of time, dying and possibly causing fossils and things like that. No, must be the fucking flood. Yeah.
So instead of questioning biblical history, it makes more sense to question Egyptian history. Is Egyptian history really accurate? Well, according to an award-winning documentary called Patterns of Evidence, The Exodus, some scholars believe that Egyptian history has been dated incorrectly and needs a major adjustment. Experts like John Bimson and David Roll believe that Egyptian history needs to move forward on the timeline by about 200 years, and the documentary shows some compelling evidence supporting this claim. And when you correct the inaccuracies on the Egyptian timeline, then all of a sudden Egyptian history lines up perfectly with the events of the Exodus.
Okay, let's move Egyptian history forward 200 years. Okay, it lines up with your flood belief. Now, we do have the one slight problem though. There was, 8 people on the ark? Now, let's be fair. You're saying in those 200 years after the flood, those 8 people had enough kids, populated the world enough to form the nation of Egypt, the Israelites, all the nations that Egypt went to war with, all the nations that Egypt traded with, the Greeks, and everyone goddamn else around that area of the Mediterranean. I'm calling slight bollocks on that. So it doesn't actually help your cause. If you could add 10,000 years onto this, maybe. But then you're still left with the 8 people populating the Earth, which is almost as bad as the 2 people that apparently started it. Yeah, once again, that's a lot of goddamn incest.
This documentary is the winner of 13 Film Festival Awards and was the #1 best-selling documentary on Walmart and Amazon for 2 weeks in a row. It's also available on iTunes and on Netflix. Now, if these experts are correct, that Egyptian history needs to move forward on the timeline by 200 years, then this would mean that the pyramids would not have been built about 2550 BC, but rather they would have been built about 200 years after that, about 2350 BC, making the pyramids contemporary with the flood in Noah's day.
Oh dear, does anyone see the problem there? The pyramids are now built when the flood happened. Okay, now I will be fair, he goes on to fiddle the numbers a bit more and says that these people didn't die when they say they did and didn't have kids when they say they did and lived longer than they said they did in that version of the Bible and bits they have now. If you go back to this text, it's different. Yeah, these things all have to change on what the commonly accepted thing is just to fit your idea that there was a flood that there's no evidence for, that wiped out everything that there's no evidence for, so that 8 people could restart the world, which there's no evidence for, and those 8 people are going to fall out with each other and their new nations just to cause the Egyptians stealing all the Israelites. Now, we also have the problem that you said it earlier in this video, I did cut it out, but yeah, Ham's son started the Egyptians, which was Noah's grandson. So yeah, you're saying within bloody 2 generations, everyone was like, nah, fuck you, mate, I'm going to go and build pyramids and you're going to build them for me. How about no, you crazy buggers? Just no. Absolutely not. Right, I've had enough of crazy tonight. We've looked at 3 very, very, very crazy people and me, and I'm super crazy. But anyway, thank you for coming to my channel. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, all that jazz. You know it all by now. Share the video lots as well. I want to hit 500 subs. Yay, please. Well, Jim Bells will get it if you don't. I know where he lives. Anyway, I am Sarcastic Valman. Thank you very much. Check out the shills on Thursday, so tomorrow night. We got Radical the Unhallowed Night, as far as I remember. I hope that's right. If I cock that up, I'm going to feel really bad. Because I'm not going to check. I never check nothing. Anyway, thank you very much. Good night.
Hello Globetards, it's Mr. Jimbles here. Please like and subscribe, or they say they'll start feeding me non-free range chicken.